The movie begins with a cryptographer named Alex Jacobs entering his house and finding a dead body in his living room. Alarmed, he pulls out his cell phone to dial 911 but notices something off about the body. Upon closer inspection, he finds that the dead body is his own, and he is clutching an envelope in his hand. Intrigued, Alex decides to open the envelope and read the contents before calling the police. However, as he opens the envelope, he finds a flash drive inside instead of a letter. He quickly plugs it into his computer, and a self-recorded video of him starts playing. The Alex on the screen tells him not to freak out and begins to tell him a story. A flashback begins when Alex is woken up by a woman named Rebecca Stillman showing up at his front door. She claims that she works with the Advanced Research Institute of Science and Technology, and that her organization works closely with the NSA. All of a sudden, Rebecca offers him a job without much explanation. She presents Alex with a long non-disclosure agreement that he needs to sign before she can provide him with more details about the nature of the job. At first, he hesitates, knowing that there might be more to the job than he can take. But when Rebecca offers him a large sum of money, he accepts the job since he has been struggling financially. To prove that she is serious about the job offer, Rebecca sends him part of the payment, further solidifying Alex's decision, and he ends up signing the NDA. She then provides him with more details about the work he needs to do. She tells him that an unregistered satellite that seems to belong to the USA has been discovered. However, the problem was that this particular satellite hadn't been launched yet, and her organization believed that it came from the future. The satellite came along with a coded message that they had been unable to crack and needed Alex's help decoding it. The next morning, two men from the NSA show up at his house and knock him unconscious before escorting him to a secure facility. When he wakes up again, he finds himself in a small room that he will be staying in for the next few months. Rebecca then takes him to a lab and shows him a vacuum that the message came in. Alex jumps headfirst into work, but after 5 unsuccessful weeks, Rebecca suggests that he should take a break and resume working after the weekend. Despite being given an off, Alex refuses to stop and continues working on solving the code. One day, while he is working, he begins to hallucinate and sees a woman working on the same task and trying to decode the same message he's working on. Soon, the hallucination ends and Alex finds that his nose is bleeding. He takes this as his sign to take a break and finally goes to sleep. When he wakes up, he finds that he has scribbled a code on his bedpost, but with no idea what it means. Alex immediately rushes to the lab and resumes working on decoding the message again. After several hours of work, Alex manages to decode the message and waits for Rebecca to show up so that he can break the news to her. As Rebecca enters the lab, Alex asks her why she has kept the fact that another cryptographer had worked on decoding the code in the past. When she does not respond, he continues talking and tells her that he knows he was only given half of the message that the woman couldn't decode. He then hands her a stack of papers and informs her that it contains a warning because the device she had shown him earlier is part of a weapon that can be used for mass destruction and even cause World War III, which is why the decoding process had been so difficult. The messages he had uncovered were half of the blueprints for the weapon. Rebecca refuses to acknowledge anything he is saying and thanks him for a job well done and informs him that he is going to be under surveillance for the next few months. She warns him not to do anything that would draw the NSA's attention before leaving. Alex is sedated once again and sent back home. However, he soon begins to feel sick and finds himself unable to get up. He assumes that his sickness has been because of the sedative and ignores the warning signs. One morning, Alex hears someone at his door, and when he checks, he is surprised to find 2 strange men outside. They claim that they need to ask him a few questions and enter his house. They ask him if he knew that the blueprints were going to be used to cause destruction. At first, Alex refuses to answer and tells them that he is bound by an NDA, which is why he cannot tell them anything. But as his migraine gets worse, he gives in and tells the man that it is not his responsibility to worry about a weapon, when his only job is to decode a message. Once the men leave, Alex's headache starts to get better, and he turns on his computer to find more information about the weapon. However, before he can do anything, the computer turns off on its own, and he receives a call from Rebecca, who reminds him that he is being monitored and warns him to never look into the weapon again. Later that night, all of the lights in his house turn off, and he goes outside to check what has caused the blackout. This is when he notices one of the strange men who had shown up at his house. But this time, the man's body seems to be distorted. All of a sudden, the man starts growing in size and gets several feet tall. Alex rushes back into his house, but notices the man outside his window, watching him. Both of them reach out, and just as their fingers touch through the glass, the scene changes. The next day, Rebecca shows up outside Alex's house and calls out to him. She finds him in his office working on another theory. He starts rambling and says that the strange men that he had seen are able to control time and space, which is why they can exist in the same space as him, just at a different time. Rebecca brushes his theory off and claims that she knows about his tumor. This makes Alex angry and tells her that it is her fault. He is sick because she had placed him in a room with a device that was emitting radiation, while he had no clue what was happening. Meanwhile, in the present time, Alex takes the body from his living room and buries it in his backyard. He then resumes playing the video again, and Alex in the video says that Rebecca did not want to believe what he was telling them, and he felt helpless until he realized that he was not the only cryptographer who knew about the weapon and where it had come from. Alex looks up her address and finds that the cryptographer is a woman named Beth Carter. When he arrives at her house, she refuses to talk to him. However, Alex explains that, like her, he has also developed a brain tumor and only has 6 months left. Hearing this, Beth opens the door for him and the two of them start talking. She tells him that she only has 2 months left. She also reveals that after her job ended, she started talking to a mystery man who had hacked into her computer. This man called himself the Cypherman. He sends Beth tasks to decode daily. All of a sudden, Beth starts to feel sick, and Alex takes Beth to her room before going through the tasks she had solved for Cypherman. Sometime later, he notices a message from Cypherman on Beth's computer. He immediately replies back to the messages, but Cypherman figures out that he is not Beth and stops messaging her. The next morning, Beth finds out that Alex has gone through her stuff, and she tells him to go home and leave her alone. When Alex returns home, he sees Rebecca on his doorstep, and she once again tells him to stay away from Beth and stop looking into things. Alex brushes off her warnings and goes inside his house. He discovers that the organization has taken away all of his research. That night, Alex receives a message from Cypherman, who informs him that Beth is on her way to his house. Just then, the doorbell rings and Alex finds Beth waiting outside. She tells him that he was right about his theory that Cypherman is trying to help them. As days go by, the two of them work with Cypherman to make a virus that they can use to destroy the machine before it can be used to cause mass destruction. One day, Rebecca shows up at Alex's house out of the blue and reveals that she has been working with the Cypherman to destroy a machine, but now the ARIST organization has caught up to her. She tells them that Cypherman is Miles Driscoll, one of the first founders of the organization, who had known about the weapon before any of them had decoded the message. She instructs them to find him just as agents from the NSA arrive at their doorstep. Rebecca stays back while Beth and Alex escape. This results in her getting killed as the men chase after them. Meanwhile, the two of them arrive at Miles' house. He tells them that the purpose of the machine was so that interdimensional beings could tether themselves to their dimension. This new machine will allow these beings to not only interact in their dimension, but also be able to alter things. For now, they are only limited to being able to see events happen. Miles goes on to tell them that he even become friends with one of the interdimensional beings that had stayed with him for over 30 years. However, Alex and Beth are unable to see it, which only proves that they are running out of time to stop the activation of the machine. The only solution that the three of them come up with is that they need to physically destroy the machine. Sometime later, Beth and Alex head for the ARIST building where they find that time has already started looping due to the activation of the machine. Beth finds that she has also gotten stuck in the loop and activates a bomb, but she discovers that she is unable to leave either. At this point, Alex takes matters into his own hands. He takes the device and runs through space. Before he can make it far, an interdimensional being catches up to him and touches him, causing both of them to disintegrate. Alex wakes up to find himself strapped to a chair, and across from him, the interdimensional being stares at him. The alien being starts talking and tells Alex that they have been very curious to see what it is like living in a dimension where time is a linear concept. It says that for humans, the one thing they fear most is losing time and death. He then asks Alex if he could go back in time with the knowledge he has today. What would he do with it? Before he can respond, he blacks out. The next time he wakes up, Alex finds himself back in his house, where he then goes on to record the video of his past self. The movie ends with Alex visiting Beth so that he can warn her to stay away from the device. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and the notification bell to see more videos like this.